into order. I'm sorry, we have to take a small recess. Did you turn it on?
Yes, yes, sir.
Or we can, let's go to the minutes for the 9/16 and 10/5 meetings for approval or comments. First, you have the October 5th meeting.
September 16th.
No, September 15th, excuse me. 16. I'm getting close. Got the right button then. Okay, September 16th. Are there any additions or corrections or comments about those minutes?
If there's none, I move approval.
Okay, thank you for approval. Then move and second, we approve the minutes for the meeting of September 16th. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, the October 5th, 2015. Well, I'm right on the button now. Minutes for that meeting. Any additions, corrections, comments?
So moved.
Move that they be approved.
Yes.
Second. Indar?
Second.
Okay. Moved and second that we approve the minutes for the meeting of October 5th, 2015. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. All right. Number 7, Mary Girl, you're on.
Okay, we have 2 months to review, which is the month of September and October, along with the quarterly report. On the investment report, the next certificate of deposit that's maturing is the CD 36000789, which will mature in December. And it's a 12-month CD, so we will just continue to renew at the 12th month, unless you have any other suggestions and would like to extend or shorten the certificate of deposit.
Any likes or dislikes, I guess, do is what you've been doing. Do we need to approve this report or the next?
It would only be the quarterly report.
Yeah, but we need to approve the quarterly report, and that's
Yes.
coming up. Okay, excuse me.
We also have significant funds in our general account, so I'll go ahead and continue to reinvest.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that, so and you'll invest that as need be. 28 million in the bank account. You have the balance sheet. I see you made the corrections from what the changes. I don't know whether the corrections or what the changes.
Changes, yes.
No more arguments about that. No, we're gonna.
Hopefully not.
Any questions of the balance sheet or the cash flow present performance? We're into it. This is for the month of September, which is the last month of the last year, right?
No, that would be
October.
October.
Into October, that's
Yes.
right. Right, we changed it in, so now it's in October. Right. This is just September. See, I got me confused.
If we look at the month of October, we all don't have any questions for the month of September.
You got the month of September $500 check report. Do you have any? Let's cover this one month and then we'll go on to October for all that. Any questions of the $500 check report for September? Okay, haven't heard none. The credit card report's also attached there. Any questions there? None. The legal and consulting fees budget report. I have to get a bigger calculator, get those figures over. I don't think you have enough decimal places to the left.
I need to give y'all a report in closed session on the status of all this.
Oh, yeah, I know you will.
You could just do it in thousands.
We're just looking at the report. Okay, I think that pretty well takes care of the month of September. If you want to, let's move on to the October month.
Under the cash flow, this consists of all 14 months of the fiscal year. And we can end up on a really good note for our revenue. Our annual budget was $5,216,000. At the end of the year, we were able to bring in $10,899,000. And the majority of that consisted of the sale of the library, the third implement contract, and as well as engineering fees.
So we were under budget, 3.8, is that correct?
Correct.
And that's a minus net income. Looks like a farm.
Well, that's based upon the
I know that's the budget. That's the budget. Which means there is a derivation of that. We underspent by 3.8 according to the budget. Well, I shouldn't say that. That'll give you all the wrong impression. We say.
We use the word revenue instead of income.
revenue came
So,
in.
does everybody understand that when you have a minus in the budget deal, it's good?
I like revenue.
And so the gross income, like change to gross revenue.
Yeah, but
Yeah, we
we
should
should think
better.
we're gonna need to tax, we know we're gonna need to tax for it.
Okay, any questions of the balance sheet or cash flow budget? Move on to the $500 check report.
On page 404, what's that, portable buildings for?
That's, we had the block house out at the Riverside project, the canal project. And since we're completely redoing that canal, we had to dismantle that. That's where Robert had a lot of his telemetry equipment. So what we did, we purchased, rather than building another building out there, we purchased a small portable building and we placed it here in the yard where it'll be secure, and that's where Robert has all his telemetry equipment.
This one includes a credit card report. And legal and consulting fee budget report. Any questions or comments on any of that? There are none, let's go to the quarterly investment report. This does require a motion, resolution to accept the quarterly investment report. If anybody have any questions, we've already looked at it twice, so.
And I've already signed the original, just in case there's any question.
Do I hear a motion to approve the report as presented?
So
Larry makes a motion, Indar
Second.
seconds, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Gosh, she got off like me. Art's not here. All right, Rose, gosh almighty, Rose gonna be here in about 2 hours. Look at all that stuff she's got to tell us about.
Good morning. We'll go ahead and do September 1st.
You know, for the purpose of this morning's meeting, if we just go to the adjustments, those reports, everybody can read those reports. You think that would be all right to get the adjustments for September and
Sure.
go forward to the, because that's a month behind, so the reports really are more important in October because they're up to date, okay? So we go to the adjustments
Okay.
for September.
For September, yes, sir.
We need to approve those, or if
Yes,
that's
sir,
our.
we do get approval on those two. We have Ladera Gardens. This is a double assessment on our records. The information was verified with Central Affairs records and also the subdivision map. Therefore, we need to remove $333.08. The second account, the property was under James Abram Duran. The property was scheduled for tax sale on August 5th, 2015. There being no sale, the property was struck off to the county as a trustee. Therefore, the property is now tax exempt, so there's a proration of $40.27, and that would only be for the tax year 2014.
Well, they may be tax exempt, but they're not gonna be any water for it.
Exactly. So total is $373.35, adjustment for September.
It took that, went on for a lot of years to have a double assessment, nobody ever called y'all's attention to it.
Actually, the one I found was Kathy. It was one of our accounts with no address, and we've been concentrating on those.
And they've been paying.
No, they weren't paying.
They weren't
The
paying.
long delinquencies, and we just have to handle one at a time.
It's amazing that somebody didn't call you and say, hey, it's not mine, where are you taxing?
Because we have no address.
Oh, I said, they should have called you, oh, you didn't, oh, they weren't getting the statement.
Exactly.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to approve the tax adjustments for September 15th, 2015? Okay, been moved and seconded, we approve, Larry made the motion, and our second, we approve the tax adjustments for the month of September 2015. All in favor say aye. All opposed, same sign, motion carries. Okay. Now let's go to your reports, Rose, if you don't mind.
You want to go ahead and finish with September, correct?
Pardon me?
With September, just finish September? Or do you want to go from adjustment to adjustment?
Oh, we can do the adjustment, let's just go through the reports. I think it's important that, like I say, the reports in October, or how would you like to do it?
If we can go with September, so I have everything in order.
December?
September.
September,
September,
yeah.
yes, sir.
Well, we're through September, no?
Yes, sir. The other ones are just information
Right.
items.
Right. So you want to go to,
Well, I did want to point out the comparison.
yeah, well, right, that's what I say, in October, what we have at the end of October is real-time data where we are in
Yes,
comparison.
yes,
Yeah, no,
yes, I'm sorry.
that's what I was thinking we should do.
Okay. We got our tax adjustments on the way.
We only adjusted those in September, so we'll.
Yes, sir.
We'll do the others.
Our next item is our 2013, 2014, and 15 El Paso Public Service Board project. We have processed 1,104 leases, collected $110,400 in processing fees, for a total of money collected in delinquencies, $26,533.45. And I want to add that, we have our project going on. It's a 12 months year round, where we solicit for public service board on our tax statements, our property owners walking in, phone call, solicit for Lower Valley Water District and Public Service Board of East Nevada.
Yeah, maybe after you send out the tax statements, that will pick up. It should, if people
Yes,
actually
I'm
look
very
at it.
confident of that, yes.
Because you put a flyer in there,
Yes, sir.
right? Or a stuffer or whatever they call it.
Our next report is our tax comparison.
That's tremendous, John. Every time I look at that, I just think, wow, that's good. Okay, tax comparison?
Yes, sir. October 2015, we're at 98.3753% versus October 2014, we were at 97.8899%. So we're ahead.
Tremendous, and a lot less because of that other program. And your tax suits. Could you go through every one of the tax suits? I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
This is our list for, again, for September, and we did have 5 accounts paid in full that month. Then again, just a reminder that our taxes are paid, but not necessarily as the lawsuit did not suit. And that's what I have for September.
All right.
And next is our October. We have 3 tax adjustments. Number 1 and number 2, and number 3. They're the same property owners. The property used to be under Templo, Torre Fuerte Inc., it was a tax exempt entity. The property was obtained by International Pentecostal Holiness Church Extension Loan Fund Inc. by foreclosure.
Now, what did you say?
It's
Nine,
internet,
what?
a non-tax exempt entity. And the property was acquired through foreclosure, therefore the tax exemption was removed. So we have to bill taxes on 3 properties.
You have to get a new form to print that whole name.
I'm sorry, sir?
Do you have to get a new form to print the name?
Well, actually didn't fit.
That's what
I have to go to line.
I mean, that's the longest name I've ever seen. That's the Pentecostal Holiness Church Extension Loan Fund,
Yes, sir.
LLC or whatever.
And the taxes have already been paid. We sent a tax statement and some payment immediately. And I'm going to open the board for this.
Do I hear a motion to approve the October tax adjustment?
So moved.
Larry makes a motion, into our second, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion approved. Okay, motion carried.
Our next report is the 2013, 14, and 15 El Paso Public Service Board project. Like you said, real time. We have processed 127 leases, collected $112,700 in processing fee, and collected in delinquency $26,864.52. And I also included the Lower Valley Water District, just to give you an insight. For 2015, we've processed 168 leases for Lower Valley Water District.
Good.
And that's in processing fee $6,800. And a reminder that Lower Valley Water District does not pay the delinquent taxes on leases.
Right.
On our tax comparison, to finish out the year,
They don't pay it. Lower Valley doesn't pay it, but the landowners have to pay it before we transfer it.
Yes,
So,
sir.
under the delinquent charges and charges collected, should we not have the amount that's been collected because of that? Understanding
well,
your,
because it's not coming through Lower Valley Water District or Public Service Board.
but
Versus
the
the public.
taxes have been paid
By the
because of
property
them
owner.
doing that and because of you.
Well, sometimes we don't know that the taxes are being paid and property owner intends to lease them till after we get a lease. Versus Public Service
So
Board.
we're leasing it before,
No. Like, for example, Public Service Board submits payment for the delinquent taxes along with the lease at the same time.
Right.
So we can account for that. Lower Valley Water District, they have the property owner pay the taxes, but it could be weeks, it could be months till we actually receive the lease.
But the taxes have been paid
Yes, sir.
before you, yeah,
Yes,
before I
sir.
stand it, I mean, it, well, whatever.
And then again, both Public Service Board and Lower Valley do compensate the $2,500 for it.
Right.
And what Lower Valley does, Johnny, is they'll contact, say, Mr. Sanchez, and that wants to lease his rights, and they'll say, okay, you owe so much taxes, so you need to go to the irrigation district, clear out your taxes first, and then we'll take your water.
Well, all I was just saying in this report, because of what this program, that we would be collecting these delinquent taxes under
Yes.
this program.
I
But
can
the Lower
look
Valley's
at it,
not
I
gonna-
can go back and.
Well, it doesn't really matter, because it really shows exactly what your program has done, other than, because it's not there. Because it would not have been paid without the programs.
Exactly.
Now, the 2,500 you mentioned, Rose,
Yes, sir.
that's what the Lower Valley is paying the landowner?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And so, let's say it's a quarter of an acre, then they prorate it down?
Yes, sir. That's a proration. Next item, we have our tax comparison. November 2015, 98.4063% has been collected versus November 2014, 98.1116%. And that will close out the 2014 tax year.
Very good. Very good. The good thing about that is because of the reason it's going to change, is that it'll stay, well, it should stay at that percentage, but then if we have new ones, it'll change.
Yes.
Sorry for interrupting.
No problem. Okay. And then we have our tax suit listing, and we did have 2 accounts paid in full. But then again, I cannot remove them off the list because they have not been not sued. But the
Pardon?
tax- I cannot remove them from the list because the tax suit has not been not sued.
Oh, yeah. It's
So
gotta
just
be
to let you know,
done.
taxes have been paid in
It's
full.
gotta be court action before you can do it. Okay. Okay.
Our next item is the 2015 tax rate.
Rosie, could you scream a little louder?
Yes, sir.
She is
Scream,
screaming.
only
This
scream.
old mic is disappearing.
Rose is screaming for
I
Rose.
am sorry.
I'm sorry, I'm a little deaf, I guess.
I
Okay. This is F and G will be setting the tax rate for all irrigable lands and also for tax exempt entities. Is that good, Mr. Smith?
It's better.
Is that
I like it when you scream it out.
Okay. The rate is identical to the 2014 tax rate. The 2015 tax rate that's proposed is the tax assessment is $25 per acre. Water assessment, and we're talking about the allotment water is $20 per acre foot. Non-allotment is $20 per acre foot. The tax exempt lands, and that excludes Public Service Board and Lower Valley lands, that's at $45 per acre foot. And then we have administrative fees, which is the county service charge, is at $12 per owner.
Okay, same as last year. I hear a motion to approve the tax rate. Joe makes a motion, Larry seconds. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay, Rose.
The next item is certifying the 2015 tax assessment and our charges. And I think you all have a handout, a breakdown of the assessments. There's an assessment on the table this morning. It's good, yes, you got it? There you go.
Right here.
2015 tax assessment and or charges accounting service fee, service charge, $385,968. Exempt water allotment, $42,174.90. Exempt water non-allotment, $3,156.75. Tax assessment, $1,546,792.75. Water assessment allotment, $1,420,638.80. Water assessment non-allotment, $318,509.60, for a total 2015 tax assessment and charges, $3,717,240.80.
Rose, I have a question on the water assessment non-allotment.
Yes, sir.
I don't quite understand how that works.
The non-allotment is when you have the water in the system.
You have return flow to whatever your system, we don't call them return flow, but it's just whenever there's not allotment fees and whatever water's delivered.
Yes, sir.
Not allotment.
Okay, so the charge is based on the user, if you have a user,
Yes, sir.
for return flow, for example.
You use the water, you get charged $20 an acre foot. You didn't use very much there because there wasn't any water.
Well, we did
Pretty
have
easy
an
now.
increase. The
Pretty
year prior was 18 inches on allotment, this year was 30 inches, so we had an increase of 12 inches.
Right.
And your question, Mr. Stubbs, as far as owners, we added 579 properties to the tax roll, and that's due to subdivisions. 579 owners, or parcels.
Well,
If I can have your approval unless you have any questions.
you want an approval?
I need an approval, sir.
That would just look.
And the big
So we can,
surprise.
we can start mailing.
Yes, they have the
Well,
tax
that's
statements.
the reason we don't want to approve it. Can we table it?
And they have,
I'm kidding.
like,
There
they're in
they
the
are.
tax roll here, for inspection.
You gotta check
2015
You know what I
tax
was-
assessment. We
what I-
checked them over and over again.
Yeah. But what I was just looking at is the amount of tax assessment that we have and what our budget is for the year. Our budget last year was $9 million, and our tax is $3,000,007. So you can see the job that all these guys have done to help keep the taxes down. I don't know how many of the taxpayers appreciate it, but it's really gratifying to me. Now, we only spent, what, $8 million or something of that nature, no less than that, yeah. Anyway, no, $8 million. But really, you guys have done a great job.
Thank you very much.
Now, I would entertain a motion to approve the 2015 tax assessments and/or charges,
I move it.
which is the tax roll.
Yeah.
Okay, Lenore makes a motion, Ray seconds, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Thank you. And if I can get your signature, and we'll send out the bills.
You want it on this, or you got it over there? Does everybody have to sign it? We're gonna have to wait till the other guys are here? or
Just was present.
Just who's present? Okay.
Thank you so much.
All right, anything else, Rose?
No, sir, thank you.
Thank you.
Very much,
Keep up
thank
the good work.
Thank you.
All right, General Manager.
Okay, we'll start with item A. Just you all, well, I'll refresh your memory that when you approved the budget, we asked for permission to go to some of these auctions where possibly we could save some money on locating equipment. Pete, myself, and we took our head mechanic with us to Houston, to the Ritchie Brothers auction. And on the second page, you'll see that roller that we bid on, that we purchased. And
Laboratory compactor.
right, it's fully loaded, it's cab, air conditioned, never been used, brand spanking new. And we wound up, Pete and I checked on some numbers before we bid on it. The bid, we bought it for $87,500, but the good news is we saved about $52,000. That's what the price of that machine.
Get these new things to auction off.
They, what they do, Johnny, what's happening is, like Volvo, for instance, had this leasing program. And then they decided it wasn't paying off, so they did away with the leasing program. And they had all this additional equipment that was brand spanking new that they never leased. So they sent it off for auction. So we're not seeing as much as we did last year, but we're still seeing some. So we, Pete and I targeted, and I guess we looked at about, how many machines, Pete? About 18
Yes, tons of them.
that we liked. The yard there in Houston is actually a little over 100 acres.
Oh, my God.
And it's all gravelled, so you can imagine walking from one area to the other. We spent 2 days testing equipment. They actually let you start it up, drive it, move it around the yard and so on. So we actually did that. So we targeted about 5 machines that we liked and wound up purchasing this one. We were the high bidder on it.
What is the brand? Dynapack?
Dynapack.
Which got a,
Sold by John Deere by Tom Growney.
Right.
well, they sell them this way up parts here, look.
Yes.
Fully warranted,
Well, yeah, brand new.
brand spanking new. So,
How long is the warranty on
uh,
It should be the same as a brand new piece of equipment, just like the backhoe that we bought last year.
The only answer, we gotta look at buying an additional drum to it for most of the canal bank construction, we have to have a sheet for it.
Right, and they do sell the shells for it.
Yeah, so we'll have to settle that price, but it's still way under what it costs, so we have to put we can use that for O&M road compaction, but for the bank compaction, we have to have a sheet for it, which is the one that has
the reason Pete and I liked it is that, remember what we started doing?
second out.
We started doing 2 years ago is rolling the canal banks before irrigation season, and we're getting rid of a lot of those gopher holes by doing that. So this will come in real handy when we don't use it with a sheep's foot.
Yeah.
And then keep in mind, I just wanted to remind you, we did purchase a sheep's foot that's a dual machine last year off an auction that Border Patrol had bought brand spanking new, and we got it for $5,000. And so we have that.
You already have that.
Yes, we already have
That
that.
one's not, this is a vibratory, so it can
Yes.
get back a lot faster with
The other one, if you drive it fast enough, it'll be vibrant.
If you fill it up with a heavy enough water.
So anyway, we were happy with that, with those results. And like I said, we did save quite a bit of money. We're looking at, Ritchie Brothers is having another auction December 3rd and 4th. We're still looking at a cherry picker for the tree crew and for the concrete lining. And we're gonna look at that. Before we go out there, we're gonna see if there's anything available.
So we have some big auction up here on the freeway too. Is there anything up there? I just saw them putting all their machinery up there.
Yeah, that's all for Ritchie Brothers, but no, it was pretty worn down.
Yeah, nothing that we would be interested
I was
in.
just curious, you guys see any nice cranes?
We saw a bunch of cranes.
Tons of them.
Yeah, they had,
Any good prices?
I'm not kidding you, they had probably 300 to 400 cranes of different sizes.
That shows the utility. Everybody's getting rid of them.
Yeah,
That's right. We could've got one for pretty cheap.
and backhoes and excavators,
Probably
galore.
thousands of them.
Yeah, galore.
Steak bed?
A couple of stake beds that we thought of maybe of Robert, but we decided not to. So anyway, Pete and I might go December 3rd and 4th to Fort Worth if it pans out, if we see that inventory is there of something that we'd be interested in. We also looked at some dump trucks, but we didn't like what we saw. They were high mileage, and so we didn't want to pick up anybody else's problems. Last year they did have some brand new dump trucks, so we're hoping that maybe they'll surface before we decide to order brand new here locally. That's all I had on A, unless you all have any other questions on that.
That's it. Meeting with John Baloo.
Yes, item B, I met with John Baloo last Friday morning, we wanted to sit down and talk again about the drain project, and that's coming along. We're working on verbiage on that agreement, and we're still set. I told him we're still set in targeting March 1st, which will be the beginning of their budget. It's, as you well know, it's a $2.5 million a year agreement, and we're going to go for 5 years on the first agreement and see how it works out, and see if we need to increase the price. I don't think we'll be decreasing any price, but Pete is working on those drain mowers, getting prices and so on.
What's it gonna cost us initially to gear up to do that? Of course, when you buy it, it's capital investment, you're gonna be using them for a lot of years. I was wondering what
Well,
the first years.
we got the grade all, it was 404,
404, I believe it was.
404,000 for the grade all that we're gonna place up the valley. And
But
then
we
we're
were
going,
able to get those mowers on.
you know, we're going for four mowers, tractors, and those are running what a piece?
The last time I checked, they were about 93. I think we're getting for about 93.
So we're looking at probably right around $1 million for.
$1 million for just the equipment, then you're gonna have to operate it, I mean, that's not gonna be a total increase, because you're already doing a lot of it, but, you don't need long reach excavators for that.
No, we've got
Got
four
five.
long reach.
We got 5 long
Five
reaches.
long reach?
Yeah, but you'll need those in places, won't you, to maintain those trains?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
The radall's
Yes.
not gonna do it all.
Right.
No, that's just for hotspot we also are looking at cleaning device or culverts, trying to, I mean, that's probably gonna be, I don't know if we wanna get a back truck. Right now, we wanna just borrow those, the city's got plenty of them, happily does. But, did you guys see any of those at the
No,
auction?
well, there was
They
a
had
couple,
one.
but they were
Used it?
pretty bad, yeah.
We're gonna need,
What is it?
it's a high, there's several different types that we haven't decided even on what type to do yet.
It's these huge, they have a huge tank in the back, and it's a vacuum truck that, like, when there's flooding issues, you can go in there with a vacuum and suck the water out.
Yeah,
Out.
that's one.
It also
type.
has pressure on the other side that you can actually connect the hose or put the hose in the culverts and flush at a high stream, whatever's flow.
Yeah, I think we're probably there, for the higher, bigger, for our problem, not for sewer. You know, sewers are a little bit different than those vac trucks. They vacuum out the plugs and they use a high pressure jet. But there's some, that I guess, I don't know, have you seen, Pete, the highway department and their contractors use at all on these
Yes.
bridges? Yeah.
Yes.
There's some that are higher volume and higher flow rates
Yeah.
for our type problems. But they're basically a head on a rigid cable that can be pushed in, that is high, like a spray washer, but it's a high volume, high pressure, and it's in all directions.
But it's a $500,000 truck.
Yeah, okay, just don't bring
You probably need 2 or 3 of them.
Well,
The crane's cheaper.
well, we'll need the crane to position.
Well, what happened to the bucket and the guy in the wetsuit?
We've got a problem right now, that's basically the problem. The only choice we have without this machine is to send a crew, and so then we're trying to
Which
get a
is what we've
crew.
always
There's some
done.
same ocean issues with sending crews inside some of these things.
No, I understand. Plus the efficiency.
Yeah,
It's very-
and if you get to places you just can't get a crew, like the White Spur, which is a problem right now that we're dealing with. I can't put a person in there because the integrity of the culverts is such.
Can you put something else in?
uh,
I mean, if you can't put.
Well, we clamshells, we pull, and it takes forever to do that.
I've got 2 laterals that are extremely long. They're buried. One being the Hornell, where it goes under the Mount Carmel Cemetery. And the other one is the branch A from J.J. Arms Place, past the shopping center. And I know we have problems with the one in the branch A this year, where we're not getting the water that we need in there.
You don't have manholes in between.
We do have manholes, but I think we're gonna have to either rent some type of oxygen equipment or something to pump oxygen in there, because it's is so long.
Between the manholes and the open?
Well, it is, but not auction, it'd be just ventilation.
Whatever,
But
yeah,
there's nothing-
ventilation,
The problem, that design predated our designs, and it's not self-cleaning, and it's a big problem. So this particular, there's smaller ones, they actually work best during the irrigation season, when you have all the water you need right there, so you can, you know.
Press it out.
The key is not just pressure in our situation, but it's volume, because you have so much mass and things. But I think we gotta get something for him, so that way he basically has this, a big reel on the front, it's a U reel, it's a very rigid cable or pressure hose, and you can actually force it in, and then it eats its way through the whole thing while you're irrigating. And so I think we gotta get something.
But you
like
do
that.
need water in there,
Yeah,
yes.
we need a lot of water.
Like a
So it's got a big pump up.
Giant rotor rooter deal with?
Yeah, that's basically.
Pretty
what
much.
it is. It's huge.
Especially if it's hydraulic and not a mechanic.
It's all hydraulic, there's no hydraulic, there's no pressure lines, hydraulic fluid lines going down. They make some of those that are actually have cutters on the end, or like what you said. Anyway, we need to sit down and look, there's so many options, and they're all very complex machines, and you look at them, you go like, you don't really know if that's gonna work right.
In those places that we have those existing deals that were predated y'all's engineering, as you just said, and the manholes are too far apart, they said 300 feet, is there not some way that we can put a manhole in the middle of that to reduce the?
We under the licensing, we have the ability to do it. I think the biggest thing is these is, they're too small to really get in, even if we had a manhole, it wouldn't help much. It's just, might help a little, but, this is an arch
The
design.
pipe is arched, I don't know why, instead of, at least a full round, it's an arched pipe, and
They never
it's
put arch
it's
pipe.
problematic.
And
But
the Hornell is only a 36-inch pipe.
They're not cement in there.
They're RCP, Don Rush did it, anyway.
I think Pete had some pictures, right, Pete, on your presentation,
On, which,
of the Yarborough area?
no, I didn't, not on this one.
I have some, I can.
How many areas do we have like that?
Probably about, well, there's a lot of short ones, probably about 50, that's it. And some of the bridges and other stuff that we use for one.
I remember we've allowed some, putting some of these things underground for a good period of stretch of, and then when we sell things, we've been putting the laterals underground. We're gonna have the same problem there, or?
No, the new ones, we have any problem on the new?
Not up to that, no.
We're using the smooth wall PVC, which we can get it's much more efficient pipe, so we can go with a smaller pipe, it ups the velocity, but doesn't have the head loss. RCP is pretty high, especially arch. Arch is a disaster in terms of sedimentation. The corrugated metal is where we got a lot of the problems, like the whites were. And, if you just think about it, corrugations all they do is slow the water down.
No, exactly.
And so,
Are we better
So
off
as we
replacing some of those in the long run rather than having to maintain?
we have that scheduled at that particular one, but PSB has to pay for it because it's their ones, and I think the price for the pipe alone, for the right pipe, is $250,000, and we're just gonna clean it. Until they come up with the $250,000. So yeah, each project is unique. I do think the cleaner would be, I think Pete, it could be used with various size heads to clean everything from 24-inch. I think we're probably limited to 48s. I don't think maybe 52s, that's about it.
It's pretty good, that's fine.
And you're gonna have to work those, I mean, it's gonna be back and forth.
If we get big enough, you can put back over them.
Well, that's our other design, is we go by 6 foot by 6 minimum, so we can put a bobcat inside of them, that's how we clean them. So we've come up with those, working with Pete over the years, we've come up with, for pipelines, we come up with high efficiency, high velocity pipelines to keep them self-cleaning. For culverts, where we can't do that, we end up making them bigger, which actually plugs them up more often, but at least you can get in with the bobcat and clean it. The new stuff that we did on Franklin, with this new designs, we put two electric gates on it, so that when we're at low flows, instead of having both culverts having a little water in, which means one plugs up, you flow all the water down one culvert, you have half the flow area in a low flow, and then when you have peak flow, peak demand, you open up both gates. That way, it should be in a self-cleaning, or approximately self-cleaning configuration all the time. so.
And we got off the subject of the drain ditches, so we need some of this equipment clean.
I think ultimately, I know Judy and I've discussed this, that $1 million is needed almost immediately for this project, and before I'm done, I think you're gonna need to capitalize about $2 million, and it's probably gonna be a reoccurring.
Well, that's capital investment, I mean, you can't, you gotta look at that
Yeah,
over the life of the machine, how much it's actually, how much you're gonna, the cash that we're gonna have to spend, but I mean.
Yeah, and then I have to come up with a repair schedule to match it, because, first year you're gonna have warranties and everything, and then it's gonna accelerate. And we have to come with a retirement age at each of them. I mean, right now, short of anything else, we're using the 5 years, because that's the term of the contract. So we're gonna fully amortize it, accelerated amortization. I don't think we're gonna have much salvage value on this equipment, because it's gonna be used. I don't think we'll look at that.
The new Gradall, we ordered a special head, it's a forestry head, like a mower, that will actually, I don't know if you all have seen that, it'll actually take down a large pine tree in no
8
time
inch or
flat.
something like that.
And so we've ordered one with this Gradall that we want to use specifically for the drains with the salt cedars and so on. And then we're also testing, we're mounting right now another one that they're recommending. It's also forestry, that we're going to put on one of our existing John Deere mowers. And we're going to test that one on the Riverside Canal.
These are drum cutters, is that what they are? They're
Yes.
rotating drums?
Yes.
Yes. And I know the Boundary used one on the river, and it worked really